Thank you for joining me today. So today, again, like I said, we're going to be talking about the X-frame illusion. We're going to be talking about how to pose properly and to present your body on stage. Listen, a lot of you guys are out there right now working your butts off, and you are trying to get leaner. You're trying to make sure that you're not losing muscle as you're coming down. You're focusing so much on the physical aspect of things that you forget about the most important aspect of your entire thing that you're doing when it comes to contest prep, which is your presentation, your posing. I cannot stress to you how many times I have seen competitors completely throw away a perfectly great look and a great package because they don't know how to pose. Oftentimes, I have seen people actually lose out to competitors who can outpose them, even though they might have had not so great of a shape, or not even been in as conditioned, or not hold as much muscle. Your posing means everything. And today I want to go over a couple of tips that I share with my clients to help them to bring their best on stage. Now, before I do begin that, I do have a bit of an announcement to make. Now, on August 20th, I am having a workshop that I'm so excited to do. This is my Pose Like a Rockstar workshop. And that's going to be August 20th and August 27th as well at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is going to be an online group coaching posing workshop, you guys. I'm going to be looking at 9 people on camera at the same time. We're going to be on Skype. I can bring you up individually, so we will be able to take a look at each of you guys and work on your posing. We're going to work on posing in all 4 directions when it comes to, getting on stage for figure, women's physique, and fitness. And we're also going to look at your individual model turns and stuff like that. So this is a great opportunity for those of you who have shows coming up. If you are off season, it's a great time to get in there and to work with me online, you guys, from the comfort of your own home. And like I said, Pose Like a Rockstar workshop. Go up to the description of this video. You can see more information and the link on how to get that started. These competitors that you're looking at, these are my clients, you guys. We have worked with posing. They also worked with me, of course, with diet and training, but you can see the difference in their posing and how it just looks when they bring everything together on stage. And that's something that I want to do with you. So that is one of the things that I want you guys to get involved with. If you are a competitor, let's go. So let's drop right into today's conversation. So, I got my notes. I always got some notes for y'all because I want to make sure that I cover everything. Now, I can see your comments. If you like something, please make me feel good. Give me some hearts. Give me some freaking thumbs up. Let me see your appreciation. And I want you guys to also type your comments or questions into the comment box, and I'll get to them as they come up and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to your posing and how to create the X-frame of the illusion of an X-frame is this. Now, before I even get up to that, let's do a little bit of a talk about the history of posing, because I feel like so many competitors get into this game, but they don't understand where anything even comes from. First of all, it's going to be really important for those of you who actively compete and who want to do this stuff, who want to be in this sport, to know about the sport. Don't just sit there and watch figure if you're a figure competitor. Watch physique, watch fitness, watch bodybuilding, watch bikini, because it's in that way that you'll be able to, let me cut this off. It's in that way that you'll be able to truly understand the sport as a whole and what the judges are looking for. Now, the X-frame, as you guys may or may not know, figure comes from bodybuilding, okay? There would be no figure division, there would be no physique, there would be no fitness, there would be no bikini without bodybuilding. So pay homage and respect to those ladies who set the foundation for all of us to have a platform. Now, figure comes from bodybuilding, okay? And when we talk about bodybuilding, the frame that wins shows hands down every single time is the X-frame, okay? It's the X-frame. Now, the X-frame, basically, you got your shoulders, that come across on a line that flare out into nice wide lats that go into a tiny waist, and then that flare out with your legs at the bottom there to form that X. So no matter what you're doing, when you look in the mirror, when you're working on your posing, you want to pay attention to that shape and try to mimic that shape as much as you can. When you're training, that's what you're training for, to have that shape, to stand on stage and to catch the judge's eyes because of that. Now that you understand what it should look like, let's talk about how to set it up. So I always say, and a lot of people who know posing always say, to work from the ground up. So let's talk about your feet for a second. Now, there are two ways I normally have clients pose their feet when it comes to posing, and it really just depends on the shape of their legs. Now, if you have more narrow legs and you know that you need to show more of a quad sweep, when you stand in your front mandatory pose, you want to think about your toes turning outwards like this, okay? So even if you're standing in a pair of heels for figure and fitness, make sure your toes are pointing outwards if your legs are a little bit thinner and you know you have to try to display as much of a quad sweep as you can. Remember, that X frame starts at the top and the bottom half, the quads flaring out, is what forms the rest of that X frame for you. Now, if you have very developed quadriceps and you're lucky like that, you've got incredible sweeps, you have a little bit more freedom with how you can place your feet. For some people, if your legs are really overpowering your upper half, you actually want to keep your toes pointing a little bit more forward. So that way it streamlines your line. So that's going to really depend on where your body is and how developed your lower half is. So now that we've talked about the feet, let's go ahead and work up to the quads. Now again, if you have legs that are not as developed, you might want to think about turning out your knees so that way they're facing slightly outward as well in the same direction as your toes are going. And that's going to help to really complete that sweeping look and that full look on your quadriceps. If you have super developed quads, you want to think about your knees pointing more straight forward and along with the toes as well to streamline your legs. When you look at your body in the mirror, you guys, make sure you're taking pictures. Make sure you're recording video when you're posing, because what's going to happen is that you're going to start to see little things about your body. You want to make sure that you are hitting these shapes. And if there's anything that needs to be fixed, adjusted, and stuff like that, you can do that because you know exactly what it looks like. So again, if anything looks like it's overpowering, everything should look balanced from top to bottom, left to right, front to back. All right, so really evaluate that. If your legs look like they're overpowering your upper body, turn those knees forward, turn those toes forward. If your legs look like you're making more of a martini glass shape, which a couple of years ago was actually the in thing that the judges liked for figure and fitness, but that's not it so much anymore. It's all about the X frame. But if you're getting more of that martini glass, honey, but turn them legs out, turn them toes out to bring up that quad sweep. Now I have one more trick and advice for those of you who might have bow legs, okay? I had a client, and she was one of the ones that you'd actually seen in the photographs that I was showing you a moment ago. Her legs tend to bow out. So one of the things that we did to fix that, because we wanted to have balance in her body, was to actually put her feet so that way one slightly stood in front of the other, okay? Her knees were able to come together and we were able to create some balance with her shape. So it's all about your body and finding those angles and stuff that work for you. Now that we talked about the feet and we talked about how to set up your quads, let's go up to the hips because this is important as well. You do not want to be standing straight up and down in your front pose. So if I like to turn my clients sidewards when they are doing their front pose and we're working on posing together. This way I can see if they're sticking their hips back. So you want to think about slightly bending at the hips, sticking the butt out a bit, okay? And that's going to make you feel like you're falling back. Don't fall back completely. Hold yourself on those legs, okay? And when you stick the butt out slightly, what that is going to do is going to set you up so the way your waist starts looking a little bit smaller, okay, or narrower is what I'm trying to say. When you stand straight up and down with your body just straight and you don't stick your hips back in your front pose, particularly from the judge's perspective, you look like a block, okay? And you're going to look wide and chunky in the waist. And you don't want that to happen. So make sure that you're sitting those hips slightly back. So let's go ahead and recap from where we are now to where we started. So the toes, if you have narrow legs, okay, toes turning slightly outwards. If you have legs that are very developed, you want to slightly turn your toes forward. Moving up to the quads to fill out that X frame. If you have narrow legs that are not well developed, you want to turn those knees out as well to try to give the illusion of more developed quads. If you have super developed quads, you want to think about perhaps keeping your knees slightly facing forward. The next thing you do, stick your hips back. So now let's talk about from the waist up. All right, you guys with me? If you have questions, type them into the comments and I'll go ahead and make sure that I get to them either at the end of the video or after the broadcast is over. So now let's talk about your back. This is probably the most important part of creating that illusion of an X-frame on stage, okay? One of the things I love to say that you need to pay attention to is opening up your lats so that way we see them to the front. We need to see your lats to the front. So you've got to really learn how to spread open your lats from underneath all in here to create a nice wide shape of your back. You know, one of the tricks that I like to tell clients to do is to actually breathe in and think about expanding your rib cage. When you do that, that opens everything up here, all right? And then you're able to set up your back to be able to see your lats from the front. Little trick that you can do that works for just about everyone, all right? So now we got everything set up to that point. The next part is probably one of the more important parts that I see a lot of competitors mess up, all right? And that has to do with your shoulders. Now, what people tend to think about when they bring the upper body into their front pose is to bring the arms out up here and all that stuff as well, all right? Honey, you don't want to do that because the moment that the arms start coming up, look what happens to your shoulders. You see how that looks flat? You don't want to do that. You want to keep those arms close to the body so that way when you do pose, you have more of a cap going on in here. And that's a big difference, you guys. So when you pose, I like to tell my clients to think about not even using their arms in the equation. Like, let those arms go. Set yourself up from the floor up like we just talked about. Sit those hips back. Breathe in, expand the rib cage, and open up your lats. The only reason why your arms come out to the side there is because your lats need room to move out and push out. Now, if you start thinking about that, that's going to change your whole entire shape right away. So set up those lats. Make sure you feel those caps, and then the arms will just bend slightly to frame your body. All right, with the arms, I like to say it's kind of like letting water trickle off of your arms here. Go in the shower and try that. Feel how graceful water trickles off of your arm, all the way off of your fingertips as well. You want all of this to be relaxed. Not like this or anything like that. Just nice and relaxed. You just bend, boom, and then you have a nice frame from top to bottom, all right? This stuff isn't rocket science, guys. It is, it takes some practice, it takes some work, but you can master it. Now, there are two more things that I have to say about how to perfect this X-frame illusion on stage and to bring the judges into you. Now, the next thing after you've set all this stuff up, all right, you got to lift up your chest. I see so many girls, they be like this, child. They be like this, all caved in. Open up that chest. Bring it up and be proud of everything that you're presenting. And then the final tip is the most important. Get your eyes on that head judge and scan the panel and smile. Don't be afraid to make eye contact. Listen, this is a form of entertainment, so you can look like you're pleasant on stage. In fact, the audience would freaking appreciate it. Thanks very much, okay? You might be nervous as hell. You might feel like you're gonna pass out. You might actually pass out a couple of times like I have before. Long story, we won't talk about that, but anyway, smile, please. Just definitely bring your personality. Those are the things that draw the judges to you, that draw them in, especially if you're going into stuff like national level shows where there's like 50 women on stage and you've got to stand out, So perfect these tips, you guys. Perfect them and work on them. Now, here's a shocker. I'm going to ask you, how often do you practice your posing? For my rock stars, I tell them they need to be practicing posing during prep about 30 minutes a day. All right? Even my most seasoned competitors are out there practicing their posing. Grab your heels. Women's physique, you don't have your heels or whatever, but just practice your mandatory poses, practice everything, and do it over and over and over and over again. Face the mirror, look at yourself, then turn away from the mirror and don't look at yourself, because you need to feel what it's going to feel like on that stage when you are up there and you're going to be sweating and you need your body to perform. It's like dance or like a sport or anything else that we do. This aspect of bodybuilding, guys, this is bodybuilding. This is bodybuilding. The training is not necessarily bodybuilding. Nobody gives a crap how much you can squat, how much you can bench, how much cardio you did. They don't even ask you what your body fat percentage is. No one cares about any of that. What they care about is that when you stand on that stage that you look like a competitor and that you look like you know what you're doing and that you have the look that the judges want. And the presentation posing is a part of that. So do not skip out on that posing. Do not skip out on that opportunity to truly showcase your physique. Now, the other thing I want you to do when you practice your posing is to record yourself. Record yourself. It's going to be so important for you to learn to see what you look like so you know what you have to correct. All right, you guys? So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or anything like that, please go ahead and post them below in the comments. Once again, I do want to invite you guys to my workshop, my Pose Like a Rockstar workshop, where I'll be working very closely with 9 people on camera, on Skype, okay? I've got 2 weekends that I'm doing that, August 20th and August 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're gonna go for about 90 minutes. You will also get personal feedback from me. So when you submit your stuff, after you make your purchase, I'll tell you how to get your pictures to me, your goals. We're gonna talk about one-on-one. I'm going to talk with you about your suit selection. I'm gonna talk to you about your hair, your makeup, how you need to present. I'm going to personally critique your posing and give you personal tips on what you need to do in order to do better the next time that you work on your posing or whatnot. So this is gonna be a great opportunity for you to work with me. This is online, you guys, so anyone can do it. Anyone can join in, and I'm going to be doing this probably about every other month. So if you want to get into my Pose Like a Rockstar workshop, please click the link in the video description and you'll see all the information about getting that started up. You guys, listen, thank you so much again for joining me here. You know that I love your questions, so post them in the comments. And if you know any figure, physique, or fitness competitors who will benefit from this video, tag them and share this video. If you're catching this on my YouTube channel, please remember to subscribe to my channel, like this video, give me your comments, and I'll be sure to connect. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. You know that I love sharing my knowledge, and I'll just continue to do so until the cows come home. All right, guys, I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.